If I'm sitting through 25 minutes of adverts when watching a movie, I want to know that the movie I'm watching is worth those 25 minutes of ads. I have a very much love-hate relationship with PLEX because they have a great horror library. But them adverts though, if 25 minutes in an hour and a half movie, the movie better be worth it for that amount of adverts. If you're new here, I'm Hannah, but I go by Hordes Online, and I am the head of the Horde here on my channel Hordes of Horror. But if you're not new, welcome back. I talk about horror movies here on my channel on Mondays and Fridays, so if that sounds like something you might be interested in, maybe hit that subscribe button and join the Horde, and if you're feeling extra generous, maybe hit the like button, because it feeds the dark arts, which is the algorithm here, which massively helps me out as a creator. So without further ado, here are the 8 movies that are actually worth your time on PLEX that you need to watch. 30 Days of Night from 2007 is a vampire action horror. An Alaskan town experiences darkness for 1 month every year. After strange things start to happen around town and the last rays of light fade, the town's sheriff discovers the real horrifying truth. The town has been targeted by a clan of hungry, bloodthirsty vampires. With no way to call for help or to get help from the outside world, it is up to the town's survivors to find a way to make it through the month of darkness if they hope to survive. It has been over a decade since I first saw 30 Days of Night and read the original graphic novel, and this, in my opinion, is still one of the greatest vampire movies that has ever been made. This is probably in my top 2 along with Stakeland, because when we're talking vampires, I want feral, I want unhinged, I want deadly, bloodthirsty, give me all of that goodness, and that is what 30 Days of Night delivers. The whole concept of 30 Days of Night is actually based on a real phenomenon that happens in a town that was formerly known as Barrow in Alaska, which has now been renamed, I will insert its name here, as a way to honour its heritage and the language that is spoken there, where for every year, the entire town is plunged into 6.5 weeks of complete darkness, starting in the middle of November, extending all the way to January, which adds so much more to the concept of this movie, because imagine living in a town where you are literally on the menu for vampires for 6 weeks out of the year. No.
I'm cooking!
Willys Wonderland from 2021 is an action horror comedy. When a man's car breaks down in a town in the middle of nowhere, he takes up a janitorial job at a now condemned Willys Wonderland to pay for repairs. The mundane tasks suddenly become an all-out fight for survival against possessed animatronic mascots that roam the halls. Fists fly, kicks land, titans clash, and in the end, only one side will make it out alive. I get it, Nick Cage isn't for everybody, but I can appreciate that he understands that he is a giant meme online and fully leans into this concept. The man got a paycheck for this movie for spending the entire time fighting Chuck E. Cheese style animatronic monsters and not uttering a single word for the entire runtime.
Silent but deadly.
I wish the animatronics in Five Nights at Freddy's had been as feral and as unhinged as these animatronics are. Particularly the ostrich and the siren in this movie are chef's kiss personal highlights of mine. And then you throw into this movie a mix of teenagers who have no idea what they've accidentally stumbled into, and you're in for a good time. I will also quickly add that I personally like to pair this in a double feature with the Banana Splits from 2019. Back to back them, you're in for a really good time. Splinter from 2007 is a sci-fi body horror. Trapped in an isolated gas station with a ferocious fungal parasite that transforms its still living victims into deadly hosts, a couple and an escaped convict must find a way to work together to survive this primal terror. If you like bizarre, slightly obscure horror movies, Look no further than Splinter from 2008 with its incredibly tiny micro budget and all practical effects. This movie is about a parasite that turns its victims into human pincushions as it goes from host to host to host, growing in strength and power, and it appears to be pretty unstoppable. Add in that the majority of this movie takes place in a single location, a gas station in the middle of nowhere between two locations, meaning help is not going to find you, help will not get to you in time if you do manage to get in contact with it, and you are stuck while this thing roams around outside, and the danger inside the gas station with you might just be as terrifying as what's going on outside.
Good heavens.
As I said, all the effects in this movie have been done practically. There is only a tiny, tiny cast for this movie with only 6 people being credited for the entire thing. It is a perfect example of how you do a micro-budget horror movie and do it so damn well. Girl House from 2014 is a slasher horror. Kylie, a young college student, moves into a house that live streams videos to an X-rated website named Girl House. When a fan of the venture with a troubled past hacks into Girl House's system after being rejected by multiple girls within the house, the girls find themselves in a fight for their lives when he shows up at their undisclosed location. This movie happens to start with a zoomed-in corn montage and a Ted Bundy quote, so it doesn't start off slowly, to put it politely, and it sets up exactly what you can expect for the rest of Girl House. The adult industry certainly has its pros and cons, but the whole concept of camming is interacting one-on-one with a client who you do not know personally, which may involve lying to them to build an illusion and a fantasy, which is exactly what happens with Kylie, our lead cam girl in this movie, when she has an interaction with a character known as Loverboy, who has a rather conspicuous past, and something that happens in his own personal life is going to trigger a domino effect. Loverboy, even 10 years later, comes across very much like somebody who would be part of the incel community, so as you can guess, holds a set of certain beliefs that ring even more relevant today than when this movie was made back in 2014.
Gas.
The kills in this movie are brilliant. They all relate in some kind of way to things that you would find within a house full of cam girls, shall we say. So there's some rather unique kills going on this, and once they start to happen, they are back to back to back. The Bay from 2012 is a sci-fi found footage horror. During the town's annual 4th of July Crab Festival, the residents of a seaside Maryland community become the unfortunate hosts of mutant waterborne parasites that take control of their minds and bodies. But one local reporter who witnessed the epidemic was able to document, assemble, and hide this film in the hopes that one day the horrifying truth would be revealed. The Bay is one of the very few found footage movies that I actually enjoy, and I think that this movie is massively underrated and deserves way more love and attention than it actually gets. I like a sci-fi horror that leans heavily on the science side of sci-fi rather than aliens in space, and The Bay, when I tell you that the actual parasite that is in this movie is a real, legit parasite, it might actually change the way that you watch this movie. Cremothea exigua, otherwise known as the tongue-eating parasite, enters a fish in water through its gills. There it detaches its tongue from inside its mouth and replaces it with its own body. Now I dare you not to watch The Bay and get slightly creeped out knowing that this parasite is what is in this movie and what it can do not just to fish, but also within this world to humans.
Hell no!
The bay happens to be set during a 4th of July celebration where residents are eating not just crab but any kind of fish that they can get hold of from this lake, while also swimming around in the same lake that these parasites have decided to call home. Onyx the Fortuitous and the Talisman of Souls from 2023 is a horror comedy. Fledgling occultist Onyx and a group of worshippers attend a once-in-a-lifetime ritual at the mansion of their idol, Bartok the Great. As the group is led by Bartok and his assistant Farah in a series of rituals meant to better them, it becomes clear that their intentions may be far more nefarious. If you're an 80s kid, if you're a 90s kid, if you grew up watching Goosebumps, Are You Afraid of the Dark, Round the Twist, any of these spooky kid shows, this movie is for you. I saw somebody describe this movie as a Nickelodeon movie that got scrapped and is full of F-bombs. And all I can say is that is the biggest compliment that I can give this movie, because it feels like the old nostalgic kids TV shows that I grew up with, that you might have grown up with, mixed with a rather large blob of the 2003 Disney movie, The Haunted Mansion. It's designed to look like a 80s heyday creature feature movie. We're talking Gremlins, we're talking Ghoulies, we're talking Fright Night. So yes, there is puppets mixed in with this movie, and this movie does an incredible job with its tiny, tiny budget of $610,000, which was entirely crowdfunded.
Puppet show, puppet show!
Oh, and Jeffrey Combs is in this, and Barbara Crampton's in this, so you've got 2/3 of the Reanimator crew back together. Jeffrey Combs is Bartok the Great in this, and he is giving you a classic camp villain, complete with a twirly mustache and a blue-haired sidekick. Rent-a-Pal from 2020 is a horror drama. Set in 1990, a lonely bachelor David searches for an escape from day-to-day drudgery of caring for his aging mother who has dementia. While seeking a partner through a video dating service, he discovers a strange VHS tape called Rent-a-Pal. Hosted by the charming and charismatic Andy, the tape offers him some much-needed company, compassion, and friendship. But Andy's friendship comes at a cost, and David desperately struggles to afford the price of admission. There is an epidemic of loneliness going on right now. People who are in search of companionship and company, whether that be platonic or romantic, and Rent-a-Pal does a really great job with this and how we form parasocial relationships with public-facing figures that we either see like celebrities or people that you watch online, and how these very one-sided relationships can often be toxic.
Love me! Love me!
But what if the person that you had formed some kind of relationship or friendship with had been purposely designed for that very reason, and once they had hooked you in, had been designed to keep you there, even if that means destroying any of your real life relationships? Now, this is actually the starting point for Rent-a-Pal, because what if I told you that back in the 80s, there was an actual videotape that was designed for companionship. Back in 1986, there was a VHS tape called Rent-a-Friend, and a lot of the scenes that Wil Wheaton actually does in this movie as Andy are direct replicas of scenes that were on this original VHS tape. So yes, this VHS tape was real and absolutely terrifying. Train to Busan from 2016 is a Korean zombie horror. As an unidentified virus sweeps the country, the Korean government declares martial law. Those on an express train to Busan, a city that has successfully fended off the virus outbreak, must fight for their families, their lives, and against each other, as well as the zombie outbreak. This one is for the American ghouls here within the Horde, because you have so many more movies on PLEX in the US compared to me here in the UK, and I'm slightly jealous that you have access to this movie. This is one of the greatest zombie movies that has ever been made, and I don't say that lightly. This is far more than a zombie movie. This movie will put you through the ringer, emotionally destroy you, and keep you hooked from start to finish. This movie is relentless in its tension. Its zombie attacks are great. The emotional storylines that go on with the characters on this train will leave you reeling. I don't go by Hordes for nothing. I will watch any zombie movie, from the biggest of budgets to the lowest of budgets, but this is something special. I understand that back in the 2010s, we got a lot of zombies. We got so many zombies, and it has kind of overkilled it for a lot of people. But trust me, as somebody that goes by Hordes, if you feel like maybe dipping back into the world of zombies, this is absolutely the movie that you need to watch, because it will reignite that little spark and that love for zombies again. So there you have it, the 8 horror movies that I think you should now go and watch over on PLEX. And if you have any more movies that you know are on PLEX that you want to recommend, chuck them in the comments section down below and we'll get an almighty list going. This little mini-series will be continuing on through August and September, and I will at least be doing Tubi and Netflix. I might do Disney Plus. I'm thinking about it, because I have a bigger plan reveal coming up at the end of September. And let's just say October is going to be a busy month here on my channel, but I'm absolutely here for it. If you would like to know where else you can find me, I'm also over on Instagram, and I'm on Letterboxd at HordesOfHorror, where I post every single horror movie that I watch, not just the ones that I talk about here on YouTube. But speaking of YouTube, I'll be back on Friday, and this time, I can't believe it's been a month since I last did this one. A month ago, I read some 1-star reviews for some of my favourite horror movies, and I promised that I would do a second one. So, I'm going to be reading some people absolutely tear some of my favourite films apart again, and we're going to have a giggle at it. So, until next time, bye. A special thank you though to my regenerators here within the Horde for their support over on Patreon.